This program is brought to you by the Government Communication and Information System. Yanamigela nonke khona la ku-Citizens Connect ku-SABC2 la sikhuluma khona ngenkinga esibhekene nazo emphakathini. Namhlanje sibheke umsebenzi wabantu abasebenza emabhoda. Yibo abanikezwe i-opportunity yokuthi bakwazi ukugada impilo zethu nomhlaba wethu. Kodwa umsebenzi wabo awukho lula. Ake sibone.
I'm Gadisha Matsetse, Deputy Commandant, Immigration Services. As the Manager of Immigration Services, I'm ensuring that all the officials of Immigration Services are clearing travelers on both arrivals and departures, the international ones, and to ensure that they follow all the Immigration Act, the BMA Act, and all legislative which are applicable to immigration services.
Port Health, our role is to ensure that we protect the public against importation of all communicable diseases that should be imported into the country from other countries. And we are the gatekeepers. We are the first line of defense, and we ensure that we are here and make sure that no one comes into the country without being screened and import any other infectious disease that can create harm in the public of South Africa.
My name is Renelo Mashifani. I'm working for BMA _agriculture. I'm a specialist for agriculture. Go na le dijo tse di tswang mafatsheng tse di tlang mo country ya rona ya South Africa ga di sa letlelelwa di sa tlwang ka molao empa motho ga tlisa dijo mona go na le melao A2 ba apply ntwe re bitsang gore ke import permit and then the phytosanitary certificate. When the passenger comes here, ke mo searcha ke thola dijo tse tshwanang le dijwalo, diplante, le dijo dinama, mabese, ke checka gore a o tshotse that document that I want, which is an import permit and the phytosanitary certificate. Ga tshotse mangwalo o a mo letelang gore a tlise dijo from other countries to our country, then I check gore wa qualify gore a di tlise, and then I let them go. If they don't have those things, then I take the food from them, then radi destroy.
My job, the difficult part about it is having to arrest somebody else. It's not easy. Especially, you have to be firm, but your patriotism must stay there. So you can be a little bit lenient, but still you are not a social worker at that time. You should still enforce the law the way it should be. So at certain times you do get people in the wrongdoing, but certain times people just don't know what they are doing.
My job has its ups and downs. It requires a lot of patience, tolerance, understanding, and it could be challenging at times, and also very pleasant to watch people entering and being excited to see our country for the first time.
I love nursing. I can say, I don't know, for me it's a calling because it's fulfilling. After making sure that I assisted someone who was not feeling well and seeing my patient going home, it's so fulfilling because that is one place that makes me feel proud about what I chose. I mean, the type of profession I chose, and to be able to assist our public with all the challenges that they are facing regarding health as a whole, and be able, in this space where I am, I'm able to teach them about public health issues. I'm able to teach them, educate them before traveling. This is what they need to do, preventative measures, and post-traveling when they come back.
Because they want to protect the country, like, but to dijo, like, dijo, like, they are country ya rona di tla nna le impact mo economy ya rona because go na le dinama tse leng gore le diphologolo tse leng gore di tla ka malwetse if di tsena mo country ya rona bolwetse bo ba ka fetela mo diphologolong tsa rona or mo di-planteng tsa agriculture.
I'm doing this because ke a o rata mosebetsi ona. Le nna ke batla gore country ya ka e be safe. Ke batla country ya ka e be free from malwetse a tswang ko ntle, especially ka dijo. Kana re ja dijo every day. Re ja dijo tse every day. Ni baneng country rena ge na le malwetse, especially ka dinama. Re kra ba re nama every day ha rena nama because go na le bolwetse bo tlhagileng from other countries butleng ka mo a re gone o ja nama. Ke mathata, merogo, bagolo ba phela ka merogo. Re batla merogo e healthy e tlang from other country gore e tle ka mona e tlo gone philisa bagolo. So ge merogo e tswa ka kwa is na purple, is na health. I'm sorry to speak in English. It has to be organics. Tse di senang malwetse. And then ge di tla ka mona di re thusa le rona re le bagolo ba rena gore ba be le a good health system.
I want the public to understand that the role of Border Management Authority is quite crucial in South Africa because being gatekeepers, it's important because there are a lot of things that are being imported from other countries into our country. Protecting our country is quite crucial.
We don't tolerate any acts of corruption, fraud, and any illegal activities within the Republic of South Africa. They must know that we are here to secure the borders of the Republic, to eliminate any acts of illegal activity or any intention to promote porous borders. We don't allow any such kind of acts within the Republic as BMA.
Umsebenzi omkhulu oyenza abantu be-BMA. They join us in studio after the break. Welcome back to Citizens Connect. Siyabonga ukuthi usahleli nathi. The illicit flow of goods and people in and out of our borders has always been a cause for concern. Kodwa lamalanga kunenhlangano that has been given the powers as well as the responsibility ukuthi ikwazi ukuqapha inkinga zona lezo. And we have a representative in studio with us. Igama lakhe ke is Stephen Van Niel. Yena uyi acting Assistant Commissioner for Law Enforcement and Operations. But also with us is usomabhizinisi igama lakhe uRefilwe Maraka from Maraka Investments. Yena ke uyenza ibhizinisi kakhulu emabhodeni. Uzositshela ke yena ukuthi inkinga zakhe yini, what are the challenges and how can they be improved. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Perhaps we should begin the conversation with establishing what the work of the BMA entails.
No, thank you very much, and for the opportunity that we can present the Border Management Authority to the South African community and within the region. So the Border Management Authority has been established from the 1st of April this year, and it was really just to perform three functions in accordance to the Act. First is that you must make sure that there is facilitation of legitimate movement of persons across our borders. Secondly is that we need to make sure that there is a legitimate movement of goods across our borders. And lastly, all of that work needs to be done obviously with other law enforcement entities. But I think more importantly is also to how do we engage our border communities as well as other persons that would like to work with us. So the center of that is to say that how do you bring those different functional areas within a border environment together into one single command and control arrangement, and from where you can dispatch your mandate.
Previously, we just saw these green guys, the guys with the green caps at the border, who just added another layer of an agency at the border. I started the business in Lesotho in the height of COVID, when movement of goods were really troublesome in Lesotho. But having we trade with eggs. Most of the input material are from SA. Your trays of eggs, point of lay, and wrapping paper, all that we source from here.
So talk to me about the process then from start to finish. especially go the border? Because I want to just get your experience as an entrepreneur.
So at the border, you deal with about 5 agencies now. Your goods arrive, and then you'll have traffic police that check your transporting trucks, cross-border permits, and all is in order. You have SAPs that also check for theft of goods or the vehicle transporting. You have SARS that you deal with clearing and tax agents, tax matters. And then you deal with Home Affairs that looks like for your paper that are entering when you enter the border. I know that the BMA was supposed to encompass all that, but yeah, I think it was in the implementing phase. Then you have a BMA right at the gate checking that all these processes are done. So that's your process of just crossing, provided everything is in order.
So for you, would you say that it was a streamlining or not necessarily? Since there would be another person or authority that you'd have to deal with before pushing out your product?
For me, it's the delays that it caused at the border and the congestion.
So the conversation that we had with I would call our clients, it's an important conversation, because it's through these type of conversations that one would pick up, some of the flaws in our processes. Our obviously objective is just to see how do we ensure that people as well as goods move through our ports as seamless as possible. So listening to the colleague, I appreciate and the submissions made to say that the multiple stops that one would want to eradicate is absolutely one of our objectives, and we will certainly make sure that we work towards that.
I mean, obviously, Buti, there are many things that are expected to be implemented as BMA, sort of gets comfortable in its seat. But in the meantime, talk to me about what that means in terms of your business. How does it cost your business then if, for example, a truck is stuck waiting for clearance for more than 10 hours? How does it affect your business as an entrepreneur?
So we have a couple of things. If I'm using my trucks, I then pay the overtime, because at times we have to a driver has driven from, say, Johannesburg to Lesotho, and then by the time he's at the border, he's now going over the hours that he should be on the road. So you are faced with overtime, and then you are already faced with him working outside the hours that are permissible for a driver to be working. So if you want him to sleep further, the border doesn't have enough facility for the trucks to have an overnight, especially in the ports around Lesotho, Vicksburg, Botabothe, Maseru. Once you are down the line, you can't comfortably. E ka sebetsa haebe e implementuwa hantle. Wa bona hona jwale ha ona le fragmentation, o na le batho ba bangata haholo bo tlamehang hore o ba fe tshwedi haebe o le motho a kenyang thepa ka bokunyata. Hona jwale ha le stop shop se le seng le batho ba kenyang thepa ka bokunyata ba se ba tla bribe motho a le mong haebe e etsahala. Empa all in all, ditla morao tsa teng as the benefits di outlayer di risky tsa hore ba be mo.
That we need to redevelop the port completely. Those ports that we know that they're serving as an important access and entrance into neighboring countries. Their redevelopment is absolutely critical. But what we have also in our discussions with the customs as an authority in the space would also is to see that processes do not necessarily to be done at the port of entry. If you do pre-clearance of all of this, it is just a simple process. Report at the port, hand over documents, whatever those documents are, and you proceed, where you almost have not really a stop at the port. And that is where
kind of like what we would see at airports.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. I like that. I think I would want to know more about this redevelopment of ports and what it would actually look like, but not without saying goodbye to you guys and thanking you so much for engaging with us. Don't go anywhere, exploring more of this conversation after the break. You're watching Citizens Connect. Welcome back. You're still watching Citizens Connect Konalago SABC2. Sisaqhubeka ke ngeconversation yethu about the Border Management Agency since it was established last year in April. With me is the Deputy Commissioner of the Border Management Authority, Jane Tupana, just to talk to us ukuthi so far umsebenzi muphi abawuyenzile and what the challenges are. Thank you so much for isikhathi sakho mama.
Thank you for having us.
Stella, usitshele nje ukuthi what have the challenges been since niqalile your organization le or le authority in April last year?
April 1st, 2023, that's when the entity was established. And you can imagine integrating employees that were following the functions that were transferred to the authority. It meant that immediately you had a staff component of over 2,000 people. That was big in comparison. If you would imagine, there are other government departments that are not even as big as that. So just having to run with such a huge entity, integrating different cultures, different functions that had to come together under one command and control, and using one uniform, taking one command and executing functions under the authority of the new entity had not been an easy task.
Let's stick there with the challenges. Ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi so far yini izinto enizi-identifyile as ama-red flags or mhlampe izinto ekumele zishintshwe ukuthi umsebenzi wenu ukhona ukubonakala kahle?
There are quite a number of things that need to be done. We recognize a lot of work that our people are doing, but under tremendous stressful conditions, if I may say. The capacity is very low within our ports of entry. Often our officials are overwhelmed. They have to do shifts sometimes and make sure that they double up to make sure that we don't have a lot of queues that are long within the ports. This is one of our biggest challenges. Apart from that, resources that are necessary, particularly for the borderline. I was talking about the ports within our ports of entry, but we're having the vulnerable segment of the borderline, which is an area of the borderline 10-kilometer radius from our ports of entry. You need resources in order to do surveillance, to detect any illegal movement in those areas so that you can deal with that. But also you need boots on the ground. You need a lot of border guards that will be able to man those areas. And we're still very, very thin on the ground when it comes to capacity.
So the Border Management Authority would also just encourage that those who are traveling through our ports, and as we are preparing now for the upcoming Easter festive or Easter season, those who are traveling, make sure that your passport is valid. Make sure that you have the compliant documents, say for instance, if you are coming from a country where it's visa required. If you're coming from a place where you have to have a yellow fever certificate, ensure that you have those things with you. When you enter into the country and you have whatever agricultural products, those are not allowed to come into the country, as well as some of the products that are cosmetics, for instance, that going to be confiscated by Port Health. So our appeal is just that when we travel across our ports or our borders, can everyone just make sure that they are complying with all the laws that are relevant to that space, including those who are crossing our borders with trucks, that there is compliance to the traffic rules, and unnecessarily delays will not be seen on our ports.
We want to introduce efficiency without compromising security, and it is very important to always match the two. If you lean more on efficiency, you would want the speed of facilitating movement, but then at the same time compromise security. Now we're taking the two together to make sure that as we facilitate, as we make sure that trade is facilitated, we also make sure that we don't at the same time compromise security.
The intent is good. I hope it works as efficiently as it's envisaged. And if baka wabale line e one o thinke shasha lane reng ha ona pampiri tsa o di lokile ka ofela bo kena ka shasha lane ha o fole ka mora track ya motho e metseng di pampiri tse tlang ka mora bo 4 hours ho ka sebetse hantle haholo.
You've been in the news over the festive season about the things that you've been clamping down on in various borders, including the crime that is happening there around that time, but also recently sharing a report or statistics that you have found on your side.
Yeah, over the period, as you indicate, since April, a lot has happened and a lot has been achieved in terms of pushing back on these illegal activities that were taking place in our borders, within our ports and within the border law enforcement area. About 70,000, I would say, about 70,000 illegal people, people who were trying to illegally enter the country were intercepted, processed and deported. And out of this number, 27,000 only within the past period, the festive period that had just concluded. So that is a number of people who were intercepted and deported, who were entering South Africa illegally. More than 2,000, about 2,500 people were arrested who were within the ports or in the border law enforcement area committing criminal activities. And with that, we arrest and hand them over to our colleagues within SAPS. They are handed over. So those are just some of the things that had been happening. About 279 high-value vehicles that were being exported out of South Africa illegally, stolen from different parts of the country, that were being taken out of the country through our ports of entry, were intercepted. And the list goes on. We really appreciate, as I say, I keep on emphasizing, with very minimal resources, our officials on the ground are doing a lot of work. And these are some of the things that are out there to show that the Border Management Authority is beginning to make an impact.
Right, and Sebenzile, and there's a tough job ahead that you still have to do. Go to Sanhalelisela. Thank you so much for coming through.
Much appreciated.
Of course, we were speaking to Ma'am Jane Tupana, who is the Deputy Commissioner of the Border Management Authority. Sishiya khona lapho i-conversation yethu, but njengenjwayelo khona la ku-Citizens Connect, we always talk about issues that affect us the most in our communities, in our country. Join us next week as we do the same. Khona la ku-SABC2. See you next time.